What is going on, beautiful YouTube people? Welcome back to Tempus TV. Another gloomy day here in Pattaya, but like I said earlier, I can't say that I'm not enjoying it. It's a nice little break, although if it's staying like this for the rest of the year, which I think it probably might, it's about getting to that season, I'll be a little bummed out. But today we're getting into the nitty gritty. In one of my most recent videos, I talked about some cultural differences in Thailand that might catch you with some awkward stares and things like that, but today we're getting in things that genuinely might make some Thai people upset. I've talked to quite a few of my Thai friends and I've asked them a little bit, what do foreigners do that really gets on your guys' nerves? Not really like, oh, look at that foreigner, but things that can genuinely make somebody upset, and I'm gonna break them down for you today. So in one of my most recent videos, like I said, I talked about the cultural differences in Thailand, things that might get you some awkward looks, maybe some giggles, things like that. Thai people are generally very patient and super easygoing, but there are a few things that if you do, it can really get under people's skins and might give a negative connotation of where you come from to the people here in Thailand. Today, we're gonna break down a few of those things. Some of them a big deal, some of them not, but there are quite a few that you definitely want to try to avoid if you're planning on coming here, whether it be for a vacation or long term. Let's get into it. So the first one I've heard quite a few times is people that travel here that don't make any effort whatsoever to learn the Thai language. Obviously, people are understanding that if you come here, Thai is more than likely not your first language. It's not a language that's spoken overseas. But there are quite a few things that can get on people's nerves. The biggest thing is if you make no effort to learn and then you get upset, which kind of ties into some of the other things we're gonna go over today, but you get upset that nobody where you go learns English. So obviously if you're going to another country, it's a good idea to learn some basic stuff. My rules of thumb are always to say hello, goodbye, thank you, and then stuff when it comes to food. Anything else you can kind of get away with Google Translate, but I've seen people get upset because their food's wrong and stuff like that. But remember that English is not the first language in Thailand. Obviously, a lot of people feel like they can get by 100% without learning anything, which isn't necessarily not true, but it always helps to learn a little bit, makes your integration a little bit easier, and the Thai people really appreciate it. Even if you're gonna speak in broken Thai, that's okay. They really appreciate the fact that you've made an effort to learn a little bit of their language. So go ahead and just jump on that. It's super easy, especially the basic stuff. So number two, and I'm sure this is something you've read about or watched videos on if you're planning on coming to Thailand, it's a huge part for a reason why a lot of people do come to Thailand. But if you do this and it's very obvious, obviously people are gonna be a little offended by it because it just seems like you're kind of taking advantage of things a little bit. And that has to do with all the travelers that come here, mostly men obviously, that just come solely to exploit the red light districts and that whole industry in Thailand. Yes, this is a thing, albeit illegal in Thailand technically. It's something that's just kind of looked the other way. People understand that it's a thing, but obviously if people can tell that it's the only reason you've come here, they have a very specific name for it in Thai, which I'm not gonna say because it's a little vulgar. I don't want anybody looking it up, but it's very obvious if this is your thing. So don't come here with the intent on solely exploiting those things. And if you are, just try to be subtle about it if you even care about what the Thai people think. And if you don't care what the Thai people think, this probably isn't the video for you. But to each their own. Obviously there's people that come here for that, but there's plenty of other people to come to experience Thailand as a whole. And I recommend, even if that is something that you're into, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with meeting some pretty Thai girls and hanging out. I'm definitely guilty of it myself, but do your best to make sure you see other things about Thailand, because that is not all it has to offer, and that might be a very negative connotation that you're gonna hear from other people that only come to Thailand for that experience. Another thing that kind of ties into that last point, and this is showing so much affection in public. So this is one of those things where some people generally might not care, and it is a little bit more open with the younger culture, but generally a very good rule is just keep your private stuff private. So even though that industry we talked about is very prominent here, that doesn't mean people are just walking down the street and ogling each other and making out in public. I know that's definitely a thing that you see quite often in the States especially, and don't get me wrong, sometimes you'll go into clubs and stuff like that and you'll see people, you know, doing their thing, but generally a good rule of thumb is to just kind of keep things private. Don't be out there flaunting it, or else you might get lumped in with this other group of people that Thais aren't super crazy about. If that is your thing, cool, then don't worry about it. But if you're doing your best to not get lumped in with a negative demographic of people, I would just try to avoid it. Another one that we've touched on a little bit in other videos is Thais like to save face. So rarely will you ever see a Thai person, no matter how upset they are, in the middle of the street yelling at somebody, yelling at a server, things like that. And this is one thing that I've heard from my Thai friends that really bothers them about some travelers. Things that might be super not a big deal to them. Americans especially are very vocal when they're upset. If they're walking to a restaurant or something like that and something goes wrong, they yell, they get super abrasive, and they put their business out there in front of everybody. And from all the Thais that I've talked to, this is one of their least favorite things about any travelers that do that. Obviously, not all of them are like that, but this is one of their least favorite things, the fact that we can be so upfront and abrasive about things. In Thailand, that's just not the culture. It's really about trying to pull people to the side. And if you do have something that you really want to dispute, it's really about being low key and keeping it between you and the person you're having a dispute with. You'll never see Thais in the middle of the street arguing. I've seen one fight since I got here, and that was between two homeless guys that were super drunk. So that's just not really a thing here, as opposed to the States where you see people arguing and getting in each other's faces all the time. This is one thing that you definitely want to avoid if you don't want to be lumped in with another category of travelers that Thais hate. One thing that my Thai friends mentioned that honestly kind of caught me by surprise, but once they mentioned it, I could see how this might really bother some people. And obviously Thailand is a developing country. If you're coming from another country, especially first world, anywhere in Europe, America, places like that, obviously you're probably gonna make a little bit more money than the people here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every person here is poor, or even if they are poor by your standards, that they need a handout. I've had friends say that they can get not offended, but it can be very awkward if people overtip, or it seems like travelers are trying to give charity. Generally, Thais are very proud people, and the materialism that we experience in the West isn't really a thing here. There are people here who are very content with their lives, living at a much lower level than we do in the States. We are in the States we wrap our success around the things that we have, the places that we live, and generally Thai people aren't really like that. If they're content with their families and the income that they have, that's okay with them. Just because you see somebody that sells, food out of their food cart every single day, and you don't necessarily feel bad for them. There's a lot of people here that are super content with what they're doing, and try not to seem like you feel sorry for them. This was one that honestly surprised me, and thinking back, there's some times where I feel like I could have definitely done this. But if you want to help out and be charitable, there's plenty of organizations and places here where you can do it officially. And if that's something you're interested in, I would suggest going that route. Another one looking back that I might have been guilty of when I first got here is that Thais can be pretty easily offended when it comes to food. So obviously I'm the type of person, if I'm traveling, I want to do my best to immerse myself in like the local cuisine. I want to try new foods, things like that. And I suggest you do the same when you come to Thailand. But obviously, if you're trying new stuff, there's gonna be things that you don't like. The palate is definitely much different here than it's gonna be in your country. So if you ever come across something and you're going out there and you buy something that you're not crazy about, one, remember what we said earlier about saving face. If you really don't want it and you want to send it back, which isn't really a thing here in Thailand. You don't see Thais sending back food and things like that, even if they aren't crazy about it. But like we said earlier, if you're not crazy about it, you want to send it back, you want to get something else, be as discreet as possible. I would suggest just not doing it at all. Honestly, I would suggest taking the loss. Okay, that's not for me. Maybe order something else that you know you like, and then just go on your way. But if you're really upset about it, do your best to be discreet and try to get something else. Don't spit out your food. Don't say, oh, this is horrible. Don't be super loud about it. And I've definitely seen that firsthand. And I came from a restaurant background, so I know how awkward it can be for Americans. And it's even worse for Thais because they will be genuinely embarrassed. And this just isn't a good way to go about trying new experiences. They're not all gonna be good. I've had plenty of food here that I wasn't crazy about, but I'm a firm believer in you should try everything at least once. And if you don't like it, no big deal. Order some chicken wings and go on your way. All right, guys, so that was just a few of the answers I got from my Thai friends when I asked them, why do you hate foreigners? These things can all be super minuscule and not a big deal, or they can be a super big deal and have people really not happy with you. If you're concerned about traveling to a new place and doing your best to fit in and have a good time and have people be excited that you're there, try to just avoid all these things. Granted, not everything is always perfect, and you're gonna come across stuff, and there's gonna be times where you're not crazy about things, but do your best to just act like the locals do. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Tempus TV. If you'd like to support the channel, best way to do that is to go down and drop a subscribe below so you get updated every time I upload a new video, which is every single day. I do live streams twice a week. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. See you in the next one.